The police we have in our land are terrorists in uniform. The army we have in Biafra land are basically terrorists. They are there to aid and to support Fulani Janjaweed advancement to the Atlantic Ocean. And we are there to stop them. And we are stopping them and will continue to stop them.
Oshowore,
yes.
How does it look that you hate Tinubu so much? Because there are those who say that you had some relationship with President Bola Tinubu.
No,
at some point, because there are those
I never had any relationship with
no contact with him. You never spoken to him.
I've spoken to him on the phone when I think there was a time they were trying him for the code of conduct, and I wanted to. Somebody gave me his number because I wanted to find out what was going on, especially when he was trying to resolve the problem with Jonathan. So they were going to France to have a meeting so that they would drop those charges. So I called him, and he answered, and he said, "Who is that?" I said, "It's Showore." You know, he has his deep voice. Showore, yeah. You know, so, but that was the second time I would contact. The first was the first meeting in 1999. I was about to head to the U.S. They had just come in from the pro-democracy era. He was with Obani Koro, walking on the streets in Ikeja. I think Obani Koro was contesting for chairman of Ikeja local government. He was contesting for governor. And I was leaving the country. I was with Dr. Fashion and Larry Suraj, my friend. So we saw it. Dr. Fashion said, "This is Bola Tinubu." And we looked at him. It was very, very
unassuming.
Very good. He just wore jeans and talked in, and he had sandals on. And I used to make fun of him that his leg was dusty, you know, dry. And so he came into the place very quickly and left. That's the first time. Second time is this time that I talked to him. And there was the third time, I would say, was when we sat together during the presidential peace committee meeting. And that was particularly very interesting because the reason I sat where I was sitting was because in our previous meetings, I told Father Kuka, I said, we are going to sit next time alphabetically, because they were doing this thing where everybody who is not a major presidential candidate was made to sit behind the media. So I told Father Cook, I said, when we had the second meeting, I said, "Father, I'm going to sit alphabetically where my party belongs." So he said, so he dismissed me. I said, "No problem." So the last meeting, we were all seated, and I saw Atiku. I told Atiku, I said, "You are PDP. Go and sit in your seat." He just looked at me and said, "Sure." Next, I saw, I think it was Peter Obi's party, but Peter Obi wasn't there, it was his vice. So, in an attempt to make sure that we are not close, because Buhari was coming, we are not close to the front, they will make a party presidential candidate sit and have his party chairman sit next to him. So all these other smaller parties accepted to sit. So I looked at where they put me. It was at the back of the curtain. So I told myself, I said, it's not happening today. We are not sitting. I'm sitting where AAC belongs. So I counted AAC, AA. I think it's AA, and AAC. So I sat on the third place. So when I sat down, what's this guy called? Peter Obi's deputy. He said to me, "Oh, that's the place for our chairman of our party." I said, "Who's chairman of your party?" I said, "If you say a word again, even you will not be able to sit there because you are not a presidential candidate." He said, "My presidential candidate is coming, leave me." So I looked left. I saw the chairman of the APC. I saw a free space there. I wanted to sit there. He said to me, "Sure, that is for our presidential candidate." I said, "Who's your president?" I said, "But he has never attended some of these meetings." He said, "But he attended it last time. The problem was that you went and took his picture that he was sleeping." I said, "Was he not sleeping?" So he said, "Please, he's coming." So I sat next to, and then lo and behold, there was a lot of commotion. They came to me, "That's not your seat." I said, "This is where I'm sitting." And then there was this loud commotion everywhere. Buhari was coming in. They had gone to call Father Kuka, but he couldn't come near me because I told him that we are sitting alphabetically. So Buhari walked in, and then Tinubu Santas and sat beside me. And then he turns around and said, President Showore. I never thought he knew who I was, like, because I never met him before. And then he stretched his left hand and shook my hand. But I was paying attention to the media. I said, this guy is playing games with me. So I quickly shook his hand, sat back, and everybody was standing up for Buhari. I didn't stand up. And the DSS people came and said, stand up. I said, I'm not standing up for Buhari. I'm sorry. So when everybody sat back down, I took my program and was reading my, and Tinubu leaned over and dragged my, you know how you go to church and you share hymn book, started reading. I said, Ashwaji, you have your program now. You have I see two programs. It's Judge Omar Kalo. So I left the program for him. That's the third time in terms of contact, but that's the second contact. I'm giving you this explanation
because,
just to dispute.
I mean, the feelers are that you worked with your platform. You did a lot of expose that favored those who were close to him, and that those who are feeling that, at a time that you were, in fact, those who said that you did a lot of stuff for the likes of Amechi, you did a lot of stuff against the government at the time.
So, in fact, one of the biggest works I did was against Tinubu. In 2008, his drug story, history from that Chicago, United States court in Chicago. I was the one who first got a copy of it and published online. The entire drug court case.
Oshowore,
yes.
How does it look that you hate Tinubu so much?
No, I don't. See, I'm just explaining to. I don't hate any one of them.
Why do you dislike him?
I hate their politics. I won't deny that. I hate the fact that they are direct opposite of what they've ever promised to be. So you can imagine that this is a Tinubu that we all, during June 12, claimed we want a better country. I didn't meet him I met Abiola. We were more like directly involved with the top during June 12, which is Abiola. Even Abiola, I didn't meet more than once, which you have seen the video from Channels TV. It was an interview that was carried out by the proprietor himself. I was with Enahoro, and they had a meeting inside. It's like I went in to scatter the meeting because I went into all these politicians that I told him, I said, all these people will betray you. And in an attempt to calm him down and try to give me money, I reject. So when we were leaving...
Oh, MK wanted to he silence you.
He had a duffel bag full of cash beside him. And I think that's the way he operated.
So
when we came in, he just, student leader. Because I don't know who ushered us into their big meeting. But we were the ones who were making all the big gains during June 12 protests. So he said, student leader. And I said to him, I said, Chief, all these people you are seeing.
So the Kingibes, the Enauros, all of them were in the room.
So Enahoro now said, I agree with him. You know, what's this man who now, Zugina, Mbakwe, all of them were there. Jakonde, all of them were there. They were inside his living room is like a stadium. All of them. And I think they had already given them their money. All of them are clutched to their money. So he looked at me and was giving us 800,000 naira.
At the time.
At that time. It's a lot of money. And I said,
this was 92?
1993.
93, yeah.
I said, Chief, we didn't come here for money. He was shocked. He said, nobody has ever rejected money from me. Just use it for buy fuel, transport. I said, do you know where we're coming from? Like, this money is too much. Even if we are flying a helicopter, I don't think it will cost that much. So we started to leave. And then he stood up and followed me and Enahoro. And we walked out of the place, and John Momo was waiting. That was that interview where I was behind him when I was 22 years old. Yes. So those are the people I know. But to go back to my point, you see them saying, we wanted a better country. But when you look at the antecedents around that time and later, you knew that they were all in bed just looking for power. So it turns out that Tinubu then were involved with the military somehow, with Babangida.
What do you mean?
They were, if you know what they did, they were friends. He had been a senator under the diarchy that Babangida set up. So they were all working together. It was just a disagreement over power sharing. Even Abiola
wouldn't that be contradictory though?
Yeah.
If you say the Tinubus of this world were in bed with the military, they were fighting. He himself and the rest. He was in fact backing the pro democracy agitators.
You should know this, and we need education around it. The military at that time had factions. They owned that faction of the military that they were working with. They were more on the side of the Babangida people, and they were part of the discipleship of Yaradua Senior, the one who died in, I think, Abakaliki prison. So, but the faction that Abacha belonged to was the one who ran them out of town and suppressed. But if you look at it beyond then, when even Abiola was supposed to be released, they kind of switched gear and they became some of the best friends with Abubakar Abdul Salami. When Abubakar Abdul Salami took over power and was handed over power to them, do you know where they took him to get an award? Chicago State University. I was one of the people who went and protested against him there, which led Kayode Oladele, who was now in the House of Rep, to serve Abubakar with a lawsuit accusing him of killing Abiola. They eventually settled the lawsuit out of court and paid.
These are allegations that Tinubus of this world were in bed with the military. You don't have evidence.
I do. They can't deny it. I think he said it himself when he met Babangida. I've given you enough circumstantial evidence to know that these things are true. For instance, when I went to Chicago to protest against Abubakar, I saw Ashoba there, and I said, Chief, so all along you people have been in bed with these people. He just told me, he said, Omodenia, you know that you are a small boy now.
Maybe it's a way to also get the military out at the end of the day, because there is a way that you get to the street. Sometimes you get.
No, but I've described their political antecedents to you. It wasn't they had to see whatever is happening now. Their plan is all along. We had a pure position on how to drive the military out of power. They joined us because there was a fight. They had an issue amongst themselves. And I think in the course of that fight, they maintained that relationship with the military. And because they were not here, you wouldn't know. They all were in exile. We were the ones roughing it out here.
So yes. That's the reason. That's your reason for not liking Bola Tinubu's
when you look at what they're doing now, it makes the military look like nice people.
Oh
yes,
you're comparing a democratic
whatever they're doing now makes
to a military rule.
What
makes this government look like a military rule?
No, you look at what they're doing with human rights. You look at what they're doing with freedom of speech. This Tinubu government has implemented suppression of free speech more than the military.
How?
Do you know how many people are pulled out of police stations and prisons because of cybercrime?
And that's Tinubu.
Who appointed the IG? Whose government are we under? No, just tell me.
There could be anybody doing all of that.
No, you can't do that if the president doesn't approve.
Do you know what your children are doing right at home at the moment? Can you be held responsible?
I may not be held responsible, but I know where my children are at all times, courtesy of technology.
I'm saying there are a lot of things that could happen under a government that you cannot hold the head of the government directly accountable. Yes, well, the box top on the table, but when you blame Tinubu
I'm glad I said the box.
Anti-free speech,
anti-democratic practices, election rigging, all these issues are ones that you can link directly to him.
That is the reason why you don't like his politics.
I don't like their politics. There's no question about it.
There was a rumor, I think it was a joke, that you were going to defect to the APC.
You have a very good sense of humor. So, no, it's not.
You can never work with the APC.
Never.
But you have friends there. Bayo Ononuga is your very good friend.
I don't know which party Bayo Ononuga belongs to. He has never discussed partisan politics with me before. But I'm just saying that I know him. You know, he used to be my editor. So before I started Standard Reporters.
Frankly
and and the bio of that time is so different. I think time is an enemy of consistency. Bio used to be like, fam, maybe he's just a pretender. So that's a conversation for another day, because there were things that I found out even in those days from regular reporters who said, be careful, be careful, be careful. So, yeah.
Yeah.